Hi, my name's Nelson. I'm Crazy Sim on the Comma AI Discord. I've been an OpenPilot user since January, and uh, if you're here, you're interested in contributing to the Comma10K project. What I'm going to show you is how to set up an environment to contribute to the project all the way from scratch. First, what is Comma10K? So Comma10K is is a project to annotate data for Comma AI to train their machine learning model to detect lane lines. So in OpenPilot 0.8, they're going to use it to train the machine learning model in it. And hopefully, personally for me, I hope this means that horrible lane lines and stuff in the road won't be, they won't have a terrible effect anymore on OpenPilot, or at least not such a bad effect. Now, when their detection doesn't work correctly, the car may lean to the right or lean to the left. This is, or perhaps the car in front was black or dark and it was night, and maybe OpenPilot can't detect it. With your help and all of our help, hopefully we can provide a data set that, well, that can hopefully train OpenPilot to be much, much better at detecting all these things. So, why don't we get started? So, this video is about setting up everything from scratch. This VM has nothing installed. It has no Git, no developer stuff. The only concession is that this is kind of a bit of a stripped down VM. But it's nothing on here except Chrome. So let's start from that. First, you gotta go to GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account, you're gonna need a GitHub account. That's how you contribute your annotations and markings back to the Comma10K project. Now, just to be clear, this is how I've set up my own machine. It might not be how other pros have done it. It might not be right for everyone. So, but this is just for me, and for me, and these might take many steps. So, if you have any questions, please ask in the Comma Pencil room. Let's log in first. I already have an account, so I don't need to go make one. First thing first, Comma10K. And we got to get a copy of it locally onto this system. So we're gonna go here and click open in desktop. First thing first, we gotta get the Comma10K's repo page. Then we're gonna go to open in desktop, and wow, it's not gonna do anything because we don't have GitHub desktop installed. So first thing first, we're gonna click on this link, download GitHub desktop, and install it. Give me a few seconds. I'm gonna use it to sign into GitHub. Configure Git. Yeah. So what we'll like to do now is go back, and we're gonna fork it. Now, forking Git repositories means making an own copy into your own account. Now, I've already done this, so you can just click on fork and you select your own account. So I've already forked it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get clone on my fork, open in desktop. And the default here is to clone a repository. What this means is it gets a copy of all the data that's in the on GitHub onto your machine. Now we're going to change the path here for later. Instead of documents slash GitHub Comma10K, we're just going to put it right into documents. That's the way I do it. It doesn't have to be the way you do it, but it makes it a little easier in the future. So we're cloning it. It's going to take some time. The repository is a bit big. You're going to need about maybe, let's say 1 or 2 gigs. While that's going, why don't we set up the rest of the development environment? First, another thing we need is to download and install GIMP. GIMP is a free image editor. It's also scriptable, and most importantly, we're able to customize it to make editing all these masks just a breeze. So we're gonna go look for GIMP. Downloads. Download directly. And we're gonna install it. Install for all users. It's going to take some time, depending on how fast your computer is. Okay, it's done installing. So cloning will take some time, so we're gonna start up GIMP, make sure this is working. While that's going as well, okay. So now that's open, we're gonna quit it. What we're gonna do next is install the plugins by Alex Wong. These plugins make it very much easier to edit all these masks and just keep yourself consistent. So they'll be here. I'll link to it in the description of this video, and the readme is over here, and you can just copy and install into your copy of GIMP. So let me do that. I'm gonna be a little quick, so yeah. Oh, by the way, the README is a little broken for Windows. I do have a pull request out for it, so just follow what I'm doing. So app data. Oops, not app data, sorry. It's just app data, GIMP 2.0, and 2.10 plugins. Great. We're gonna download this helper into the plugins folder. Put it in downloads for now. We're also gonna download Alex's configuration. Great. Okay, open another copy. Open another copy of Explorer. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's okay. For our purposes, it's probably just something wrong with the VM. So we're gonna put this into plugins, and we're gonna put this menu RC file right into GIMP's folder. Oh, that's right. This is not correct. Give me a moment. These saved as file extensions. We need to rename this to .py, and we need to make this to just menu RC with no file extension. Just replace the file and fix up this little mistake over here. Great. Let's open up GIMP. You'll see if it's loaded correctly, there'll be now a Comma10K menu item. You'll have stuff like labels, selected pixels as lane markings, or set foreground color, or load mask file and save mask file. So let's check on our git clone. Well, good news, our git clone seems to be working. It's off of Nelson J. Chen. Comma10K. So what we want to do now is do open in command prompt. And what this will do is GitHub desktop will say, hey, we can't locate Git on your system. We're using this to just click install Git. So why don't we click on install Git? Choose Chrome here. So we're going to download and install Git. It's going to go to this page, and we're going to install it. Just click next on everything. It's all good. Uncheck view release notes, press next. Okay, now the next step we'll do is install some of my tools. I'll link this in the description as well. It's called Tool for Comma10K. It's somewhat of an aborted attempt to try to fix the pencil tool, but I did add some shortcuts and stuff in here to make working with the Git repository relatively easier. So go here, click on releases, download tools for Comma10K. Show in folder. Oh, gotta wait for the antivirus to scan it. Then right click, extract all, just extract it to wherever you want. Now you're gonna want to open up 2 copies of this tool. And, oh, you gotta press run anyway. Takes a bit of time to start. Okay, and then we'll open up another copy. So remember what I said earlier about removing GitHub from the name where you clone the repository to? Well, the default on this is just your documents folder / Comma10K. So this particular tool has 3 pieces of functionality. This is the editor server, and what this does is you can press start, visit 127.0.0.1.5000. Although probably not in Internet Explorer. We need to fix that real quick. All right, try that. Go again. Go back to this. So this tool lets you just view stuff. Now, it was like a board attempt, so don't use it to mark up anything. But what you can do with it is just load the existing mask and see how this works. It also has the functionality to recompress the PNGs and also to cause a git commit. Now, my goal for this is to make it so that you never have to go into the git terminal to commit image changes at all. So that's what this part is for. It has other functionality too, such as reset current to upstream. So when you're starting a new batch of images, run this. So, which is what we're going to do right now. And, well, after this actually, and this also here is create and push branch. When you're done with your batch of images, you can press create and push branch. And it'll give you a link to create a pull request. So why don't we start on a batch of images, just as is right now. So for starters, reset current upstream. If you clone this somewhere differently, change this argument here. So we'll do this right now. What this will do is this will go into the Git repository, configure it if needed, and check out and create a new branch called WIP, or work in progress. And it's pointing exactly at the latest copy of the Comma10K code. All right, so next thing to do is to go to our repository in Explorer, open up an image. Now, actually, the first thing we need to do is we need to find a set of images to do. To do this, we are going to need to go to the spreadsheet, which I handily have a link here. Now, per the project maintainers, we have to claim an image as an issue first. So why don't we claim 329 to 331? to 331. All right, so that's now ours to do. Let's go to the image folder here. I'm going to type 0329 to get to here. Looks like a car transporter, some country roads, and a pretty idyllic driving scene. This is perfect for our purposes. 329. So in GIMP, what you can do is you can maximize this window here, open up images, and drag the image right into it. The Comma10K plugin which we installed has an option to load the mask file, so we're going to do just that. You'll notice that the current masking didn't seem to really detect the car transporter. It doesn't look car enough, even with all those cars on it. So I want to go from beginning to end. So we're gonna do all these 3 images and send a pull request. All right. I'm gonna change these settings a bit so you can see my what I'm pressing. All right. You should now see that there's an overlay, a keyboard, and a mouse thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to press F, and we can do control, scrolling wheel. We can use our middle mouse button to pan around. We can hide and show the mask. And we're going to annotate this image. I usually start from the back. The idea is to do it like a painter would. You want to paint the stuff that's underneath first. Now, some other users, they use layers and everything like that, like you would see in Photoshop. But life's a little too short to be fooling around with layers for something that you probably can look at for like maybe 10 minutes on a quick day. So the furthest back thing, in my opinion here, is to start on the other side of the road, because that's further from you. So I hold control, zoom in, and I'm gonna label this whole other side of the road as, well, road. You know, it's always a guess thing. Don't worry if you don't have it perfect. If you can't tell, the computer can't tell, there's no way. I'm gonna go a little out here. Annotate this, annotate that, and it's probably a little bend in the road. And then this is where the MURC file we copied earlier comes into effect. So Alex Wong's configuration pre-configures GIMP to have keyboard shortcuts to annotate things. So instead of digging around palettes, picking up the right colors and everything like that, you just press Shift R. And just like that, the mask is now, this color here is now the perfect road color. Now to deselect it, press Ctrl Shift A. And well, that's it pretty much. Now the next thing we want to do here is annotate all these vehicles on the other side. Now in Comma10K parlance, they're called movables. So if it's a person, hell, if it's a horse or a car, we're going to mark it in that green. So let's do that. Usually, if I'm not sure what I'm doing, I just click around it and I let it figure out what pixels I actually want to highlight. So this little spot of headlight, we're going to mark it as movable. So to do that with Alex Wong's configuration, I'm going to press Shift M. Now it's going to be green. I press Ctrl Shift A. Same thing here. Shift M. If you're unsure about something, just zoom out a bit and, regain your context. Shift M. And this whole gigantic truck thing here looks like it doesn't have a trailer. Oops. Oh, in case you accidentally click around and you screw up that, you can just also press backspace and it'll undo your pre-select tool. I'm gonna press Shift M here. Oh dear, it looks like I messed up. So one of the things you absolutely need to turn off is anti-aliasing on free select. So whoops, gotta undo all that. Well, let's do it again. Undo. Control Z. All right. So I'm gonna unselect anti-aliasing and then we're gonna press Shift R. Great. Let's do it again. Don't worry if you don't have the mask correctly on like far off, things. Shift down. Let's do it. That. Shift down. Let's wrap this tractor again. This probably looks like a cab thing. Alright, so the other side is now pretty well marked. Alright, well, why don't we take a look at the far off distance here. Usually here, what I do first is I mark the roads and then I mark the cars. So for this, it looks like, let's look at the mask. Looks like the roads bled into the guard rail a bit. And, well, that's pretty much about it. It's also missing a car in the distance. Alright, let's clean up the roads. Actually, what we're going to do first is we're going to clean up the guardrail, because that's a little bit further from us. Sometimes what I usually do is, instead of marking like with the mask on, I mark with the mask off. That way I'm not biased, and that way my visibility of what's going on the road is what's going on in the image is a little bit cleaner. You don't need to be, when you're lopping off things, you don't need to be that precise. So we're going to do Shift U for undrivable. Later we might correct some of these drivable areas. Oh, we probably should mark this as also undrivable. And notice that whenever I press Shift U, it pops the mask back on so you can check your handiwork. Let's mark off this vehicle far off. It's okay to click a lot. This vehicle here isn't covered as much as it should be. Okay. Next thing probably should mark the lane markings. So why don't we get on that? Usually I pick a far off distance. These things are usually like streaks. So I pick like the tip of the streak. I go all the way back here. Click on the other side of this lane line. Click on the tip of this streak a bit. And then I press Shift L for mark lane markings. Now don't worry if you overshoot over here. Now later when we clean up the car, my car, or what they call the ego, we can do that, just that. Let's take off the mask. Okay, let's mark these lane lines as well. Shift L. Don't always have to turn off the mask to look. If it's obvious, then just mark it. Shift L. Shift L. Okay, next thing here is this gigantic trailer car thing. It's all movable, so it's all fair game. You can start these free selection from off the image as well. Doesn't need to be that precise, but we're here anyway. Well, yeah. As I'm making this video, I'm reminded of the video that at the onset of this project where we watched a Tesla smash into a car carrier. Oh, by doing this, OpenPod's a little less likely to. Oh, be careful if there's sometimes. See, I kind of broke my rule here. I really should have annotated the road, like make a little mask around the road parts first, because what you see here, this little line over here, that's what's undrivable. So that shouldn't be there. Well, now I get to pay. So with these mistakes, now it's great. You could do layers, but I broke a rule. I'm paying for it here. So so if you're annotating something behind it, just press Shift Road. Put the road here, and we're going to annotate the tractor, the car. It's a little too sloppy here. Okay, just go in here, close it, Shift M. Great. Now, the initial mask for this did do the car pretty well, but because we have this lane marking that's jutting into the car, we also need to, well, we probably should just remask the car. So I'll go on the outside. It's hard to tell some of these, that they're compression artifacts sometimes. Okay. Shift C is to mark the car. It's that rich purple color. And there we have it. We have one mask down. So to save the mask, go to Comma10K, press Save Mask File. And what I usually do is I look back at my own pencil tool. The one we were working on was 329, so we're going to enter 329 in here. Take a look at it. Load the existing mask. Just spot check it. Make sure we didn't overmark or undermark some things. Now there are some grievances here and everything like that, but this right now already as is far better than we had before. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Save to Disk, and what this does is it tells my tool, like I was originally trying to make this thing kind of be a good annotator thing. I made it. Now the only purpose of it is that it's to load an image, save to the disk, and compress it even further than what GIMP will do. And oh, come on, go away. I need to click that. So press Save to Disk, and I'm gonna press Commit. Now, if you know-git, what this will do is this will just make a commit with the image number in it. So it'll be 0329 update mask. You don't have to type in git to do it. You don't have to use GitHub to do it. Just press commit. If there's a change, it'll do it. So now we're done with 329. Let's go to 330. 330. I'll look at my pencil tool real quick. Give a little load existing mask. So definitely needs a little bit of work. The car is a little all over the place. There's spurious movable markings on these highway barrier cone like things here. Definitely not definitely computer made, this one. Anyway, let's get back to GIMP. So I'm going to close 329. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to go back to the images folder. I'm going to drag 330 right into GIMP. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Comma10K to load the mask file. All right. Oh, okay. It's hard to tell sometimes with these cars what the hood and stuff actually is. Oh well. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these suspicious areas here. The road is over annotating out of the where the road actually does end. We got that issue with the traffic cone having the movable thing here. The distance thing is not bad actually, and we could the road marking here could use a little beefing up. Well, just a tad bit over here. And there's actually probably a far off car in the distance. Okay, so why don't we do just that? We're also going to trim down this car's movable marking just a bit to the right. So I'm going to do that right now. Let's do that. Don't worry if you cut across things right now. I'm going to cut that down to actually really should make it so that this we should probably face this with the undrivable, then make this part a little road here, Shift R. We're gonna make this a little road like here as well. Okay, and we're going to drag this white little blob here as movable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fix this movable annotation here. Shift down. And this car's annotation is just fine. But what we do want is to make it so that this area here is basically all considered undefined. Shift U. Alright, so that got rid of the movable markers that happened under the traffic cones. Let's beef up this the road here a bit. Shift R. We can clean up a bit. Shift R. Alright, now on to road markings. So the first two markings are just fine. But need to do a bit more. I mean, if the end it only selects one pixel, then so be it. Okay, we need to beef up this tail here. Oops, I should probably make that a little sharper corner. Shift L. Great. Alright, let's see. Did you hear it looks like more like the car is bleeding? Oh, we forgot this. Tag this half, go here, it's going to bleed into the car a bit, that's okay, you can always repair the mask. In fact, we probably didn't really make the car stand out that much anyway. It's a little bleed down here. Cool. Good. Oh, let's clean up the mask on the road a bit. It's a little tricky sometimes with these black cars. They sometimes have pretty sharp reflections. And they're a little hard to tell. Alright, let's I'm gonna call this a road here. And that looks like we have 330 in the bag. Yep, we have in the bag. Alright, let's save the mask file and look at it in our tool. So here's the original, and we load the mask over it. We can see how it changed. It's a little straightened out. That's how this stuff looks. Great. Save the disk, commit. Now let's work on 331. Ooh, lane markings here. Looks like the trees have eaten up quite a number of the lane markings. Car in the distance also has been marked. The the ego or the car annotation isn't, or my car annotation isn't doing so well. So picturesque scene, but it looks like the current machine learning stuff hasn't really learned how to look at this stuff yet. So let's get this fixed. All right, close off 330. So open up 331, drag it in. And we're going to load the mask file. This is almost rebuilding it, but we'll see. So in dark areas like this, it's sometimes a bit hard to tell what exactly is there. It's okay. If you can't tell, the machine can't tell. It doesn't really have a chance either. But for now, to play it safe, I'm going to mark that as undrivable. If you can't see it, probably shouldn't drive there. So I'm going to guess that the shoulder here is a constant width, if it's anything like the other side. So first thing first, let's mark all the roads. Looks like all the lane lines are pretty much, well, foobarred. So we're going to have to rebuild them from scratch anyway. So let's get on to that. Undefined is always the lowest layer, so I'm going to mark that first. I'm guessing from up here that this is a border that we can't see right now. So let's do just that. Shift U. Great. We're gonna leave the annotation as is. We really don't know if that's traversable or not. This is definitely a road though. So we're going to mark this. Shift R. Probably also a little bit of road here. It's a little hidden by the shadows. Okay, we're gonna mark the rest of this drivable area. Shift R. Okay. Looks like the shadows have eaten the road here a bit. Shift R. Alright. And there's a little bit of a cutoff. That seems to be a common thing with some of these images. Great. Next thing would be to mark the lane lines. Now, like I said, this seems to be a bit foobarred. The lane lines have kind of spilled. They look more like water droplets here. So, well, this is rescuable. This is totally not. So why don't we get rid of all this and rebuild this from scratch? Shift R. Don't worry if you get into the car. We're going to do that last. This is kind of repairable, I guess. Alright. We're going to start from the furthest one. So it's going to be the one that's on the left. Some of these lane lines do seem to be broken in real life. So we're going to mark them just as is. If they're broken in real life, we're gonna mark them as broken. Shift L. Now it's kind of disappearing, so if you can't see it, it's alright. I just made it fade off in the distance a bit. Now for the center line here. It's weird, I can see like little yellow blotches, but they're definitely a little hard to annotate here. It's interesting that these particular lane lines, they seem to be raised a bit here. Shift L. Now, parallel maintainers, we don't mark black if they're in the center. We could be very precise here. Or, you know, a good enough guess, really. It's okay to bleed it into the car. Shift L. That's a little better. It's a bit iffy at the bottom, but it's a little hard to see anyway. And then we're going to do the right lane line. Jeez. Sometimes you have to hallucinate a bit to kind of guess what the lane lines would have been. So that's the existing model's annotation. Shift L. Alright. Looks a little right. Sometimes you can't see it due to the shadows, so I will draw over it. But if it's like in broad daylight and totally not there, then I'm just not gonna annotate it. It's kind of hard to see this. I'm pretty sure this yellow is going in the middle, but I can't see how the lane lines are built. Oh well, this is good enough. Alright, I'm gonna annotate this car off in the distance. The model did see the car a bit, just a tiny bit. Shift M. Alright. Movable is done. Now we're going to annotate the car. Oh, it's another dark vehicle. A little hard to see where the car ends. It's okay. Alright, and swoop it back around. Shift C. Alright, and that's annotating 330. One little check before we leave GIMP. Alright, save the mask. The before, after. Alright, now we're going to press save to disk so it's recompressed back to the disk. I'm going to press commit. Now, if you look in history in the GitHub desktop tool, you'll see that these commits have been made. So, and they're on the mask, they're at the right size. Even my tool compressed it a little bit smaller. So what we're going to do now is use the other part of my tool for Comma10K. Go to the one that's not running the web server, press edit, then press create and push branch. Go to give it a bit. We gotta log into GitHub again. This only has to be done once, not every time. I'm gonna get my password. Paste it in. It's gonna want my security code because I have a lot of important crap on there. 566281. Alright, once it's finished pushing, it's gonna create this URL. And you're gonna click on this URL and you can make a pull request against Comma's project. Now, I claimed this in issue 281. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy the name 329.231, and I'm gonna call, and right in here, closes 281, and I'm gonna create a pull request. And just like that, I've made a pull request. The images are meeting to their standards, and once these checks run, the maintainers will take a look at your pull request, and hopefully if you did it right, they'll take it in. Now if you need to update your pull request, don't need to close it. You can just make the changes in here, press save mask, and you can just go to GitHub desktop and find some sort of push button here. Actually no, you save the mask. You can go into my tool here, press commit, press load existing mask, save to disk, and commit, and just go to desktop here and then just do push, and it will update the pull request with your new changes in case they have any issues. Alright, well that's it. If you have any questions, hit up the Comma Pencil room. Make sure to mention me at CrazySim. I'm happy to answer, and I and many other people there are happy to answer if you have any Git or workflow questions or anything like that. Now, like I said, this is the way I do it. This might not be the way other people do it, but it's how I roll. Alright, take care, and hopefully we can get this done sooner or later. Take care.